Hello and welcome everybody. Friday night. Yep, party time, and we've got the AFC NFC Championship games just around the corner. Will, Peter, how are we doing?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Divisional champions are about to be crowned, so it's literally finite right now. Like all the teams are good, all of them can play, all of them have earned it. It's gonna be really interesting to sort of dissect these games and see who comes out on top.
Well, conference championship week. Gets to see which two teams makes it to the Super Bowl. It's going to be an exciting week of. I hope it's as good as last weekend because last weekend was really
Well,
great
last
set of
weekend was
games.
probably the
So
best a divisional round weekend maybe of all time. So
Yeah, I've ever
it's
seen.
gonna be it's a tough act to follow.
I mean, there's been some pretty good championship games. The Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers one was a good one, whereby it's like how do you win a game when you throw four interceptions, which was one of those ones that I remember clearly. But let's hope Championship Sunday gives us
Lives up to the hype.
similar
I think it
situation.
will. I think it will live
Although
up to
one
that.
team got there due to Tannehill's mistake, but we'll let it go.
No, Tannehill's greatness, his beautifulness, managing to knock out my divisional rivals. It was great.
The shade, just let them. Doesn't it help your division?
I don't. Well, it's not about whether it helps our division. It's more about you never want to see your division like see you. No matter what happens, you lose this weekend. Correct, Peter?
Yeah, but regardless, I don't see when division rivals. As much as I like my team to beat them, I'd look at it differently. They are there because they deserve to be. They played better
I
than we
know,
did.
but it's because I think the annoyance is particularly with this season is that because Jonathan Taylor had such a good year
Yeah.
and Derrick Henry was injured, everyone was like, "Oh no, he's not allowed to even be in the discussion because Derrick Henry last year didn't get it." And I was like, "The two can be they don't
Yeah,
have to be linked to each
I
other."
I sort of never look at
I'm.
it
I mean,
like what could have been or what people have
Exactly.
done in the past and what's owed to them. I always look like these types of awards, accolades always go on what have you done for me lately? What are you doing for me now? If a guy gets injured, it's unfortunate. Derrick Henry, I think he still finished what top
Top eight.
10 in in rushing, and he didn't even play half the season. You know what I
mhm.
mean? So
That's
that's
how stupid
insane.
it is.
If I'm Eric Dickerson right now, I'm like I mean, he's probably sweating. Like Derrick Henry was on course to break his record. AB was Adrian Peterson was short, like what 2-3 yards a few years back, 5 years back,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was unfortunate. But Derrick Henry will be there to break it. Now can't compare the two because it's
Well,
different
he
eras.
doesn't want anybody to break it apart from his son.
Yeah, well, it's different sort of eras. People have
That's
more
why he keeps
games.
saying.
If Derrick Henry wants like a legit single season break, he needs to do it in the same amount of games Eric Dickerson had.
Well, he was on pace to do that this year
He was on
anyway. He
pace
would
to
have
do
done
it.
it
Yeah,
without
that's
the extra game. That's
exactly,
the pace he was on.
exactly.
Well, before we so just to get that amusement out of the way, before we actually talk about the two matchups this weekend, there is a lot of news with regards to head coaches, hires, fires. Well, not so much fires, but head coach hires and the like. Um, so we had Sean Payton basically retire earlier on this week.
He's taking a break.
Now, yeah, it's not everyone utilized the word retire, but I think it was more of a bit like Bruce Arians kind
Yeah,
of
I think
start
he
retiring.
clearly said he's going to decompress from the game. He's stepping away from the game. He's going to decompress. At that point, I mean, after the conference and from what I've been hearing from all kinds of media, like everyone is 100% expecting him to return to coaching in the league. He's the same age as Mike McCarthy. It's not like he's long in the tooth and like he's not Tom Coughlin or anything. He will be back in the league, but in terms of which team he'll be coaching, that's the one that's gonna, you know, that's the one that's really gonna get people's juices flowing.
I mean, he's just burnt out. Sean Payton is burnt out. I mean, he's been coaching the Saints for I don't know, 15, close to 20 years or so. It's been a long time, and I think
Yeah,
he's reached that stage whereby I feel like he's naturally burnt out. And when you're burnt out, you don't want to go through a massive rebuild because I think he's looking at it and he's realizing that it's gonna be a rebuild on the horizon with the Saints. And for a veteran coach like that, going through a rebuild is not something that he wants to subscribe to now. He'd rather have a good young quarterback that he can build around, but he's not there for like the grind of a rebuild. So that's why he's taking a retirement route. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. He
yeah,
would do it, but I think when he comes back, the Saints still have his rights, so they will get some compensation provided what team is gonna go to in 2023. I mean, I think it all depends on how he does with TV because there's also a possibility that he could go on to TV
he might
and
enjoy
become an
it.
instant hit like Tony Romo and not come back to coaching. Sometimes you love what you do on the TV
Hmm.
Yeah,
and you don't come back.
Right. Okay. First of all, Eberflus has now been named head coach of the Bears, former DC of the Colts. Apparently, he is taking the cornerbacks coach with him.
I thought it was a
Um,
linebackers coach.
they're a cornerbacks coach as well, so even more.
Well, your whole defensive staff is gone. Oh wow, that's savagery.
yeah,
Yeah, that is it's quite significant. Which means Colts from the Colts side, new defensive coaching going to be brought in. Um, from the Bears side, because it's a defensive coach that's been brought, there's rumors of one of the offensive coaches being from the Packers going over to the Bears.
mm,
Was
Oh
it
yeah,
Getley?
Lugetzi or Getley or
Gets yeah.
the QB coach. I
Hmm.
think with the Packers going over to the Bears.
Potential. There's a potential of that happening because you'll have play calling duties at the
Mhm.
Bears.
yep.
In
Yeah.
in Green Bay, he doesn't have that because Matt Lafleur's
Taking over those
calling the
roles.
plays for calls the plays on
Yeah,
offense.
I'm always sort of
Does he even
skeptical.
call the plays? Because I think Aaron Rodgers calls the plays more or
Yeah,
less.
90% of the plays, but it's his game script to start off the game
yeah.
anyway.
I
So
mean, from
Yeah.
OCs, offensive coordinators or guys that have worked with QBs in the past, I always look for like two things. One, are they calling plays on high octane offenses that can produce? And if they're not calling plays, I then ask the next question: who have they developed from a QB standpoint? So
hmm
those are two questions I always want
so
to
if he can
ask.
develop Justin Fields and
Yeah,
he has the play calling capabilities, that is a perfect kind of like career progression to
yeah,
becoming a head coach in the future
yeah.
itself.
I think that's
Mhm.
why he's attracted to the role, but it's also got a lot of pressure on Matt as well. Because if you're a defensive coach, you almost have to hit the jackpot with your OC or QB coach. You've got to nail it because that's not your side of the ball. You shouldn't pretend it's your side of the ball because if you miss on that, it's going to show up in the wins column. Like I said, Justin Fields is the future of this team. And no matter how good you get that defense, if your offense can't score enough points or score the points that are needed, it's not going to mean much. So he has to absolutely make sure he hits the jackpot on that hiring on the offensive side of the ball. If you do that, then it's a match made in heaven. But all I know is that if this thing kind of goes south or is going slow, everyone's going to be sort of looking at who's this Matt guy? Like, why'd you hire him? You know what I mean? Like, there are other candidates. You could have gone with an offensive coach, but I think it's a good image for the Bears. I think that's what their team is all about. It's tough nosed, it's gritty, but they have a talent at QB that could be mixing up with those guys that we just saw last week. He's that kind of talent. We've all seen it. So fingers crossed, man. I'm hoping for the best for the Bears because they need it. They really do.
I mean,
And that
when you're a DC and you become a head coach, I think one of the things that, um, like you said, you have to know your offensive coordinator, but you have to keep nailing it because they're always gonna get pushed to be head coaches. And that's one of the risks that is a trend in the NFL, and it's sort of like it
it's not just
happens.
OCs, but OCs and DCs.
Yeah, it's
OCs
all
and
coaches.
DCs
we see
get,
him,
but
but,
so
but,
so
but we see it more
from
often with OCs though. Like you see more OCs getting pushed to be head coaches than
if they
DCs.
if they are if their head coach is a from a defensive background. If their head coach is from an offensive background, then the DC is kind of whoever's basically got full more autonomy over their system will get that.
No, but the last coaching hires, when you look at it, has been more towards the offensive trend, and I think
Correct.
Domas Dimitrov on his PFF podcast, and when he also did an interview with Colin Coward, was saying that if you look at the last couple of Super Bowls, it's been won by offensive head coaches like Bruce Arians with Tom Brady, and if you go back to the last couple, it's trending whereby offensive um coordinators are getting more
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to be head coaches defensive wise, but because the success of offenses around the league, like McVay got hired, the Rams were successful, then LaFleur gone, then the Bengals took Zach Taylor.
Do you know the interesting thing though? The question about whether defensive coordinators can develop defensive-minded coaches, head coaches can develop quarterbacks. We've seen just an example, Allen in Buffalo. His head coach is of a defensive mind. It's like, and there are a couple of other examples in the league as well. It isn't out of the realm of possibility that Eberflus can get the best out of Fields. He needs to put the best team around him, but just because he's been coaching the other side of the ball the majority of it, well, all of his career, doesn't mean like sometimes it's great because he can tell them how the defense will be looking like this is how
Yeah.
what to look for in a defensive structure.
I'd say it's Matt's responsibility to get the most out of Justin Fields. That's what you do as the head coach, but it's not his job to do that.
No.
You know, he's really got to nail that hire because if you
I
look
mean,
over
Well,
at
no,
the
no.
Bills,
He's going to he's going to be
it's
judged
his
alone
job
on
though,
that.
he's
because
going to
It
be
is
judged
his
on
job.
that though. But he knows that going in. Like,
No, it is
yeah,
his
but
job.
that's
It
the
is
thing.
his
Take
job
that
It's
though,
his
unless
job,
you-
because
well,
because he's
because
ultimately
ultimately
responsible
you
for
have
the
the
development of the
responsibility.
hence
Yeah,
head
because
coach. You're not
yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
You are head coach.
So
yeah,
basically,
he has
like
the responsibility.
So basically, you have the responsibility. You have to ensure that Justin Fields is developed right. He's going to turn out into be the franchise quarterback that the Bears have needed. And if your OC doesn't do his job, it falls on you at the end of the day because you're the one that hired him, right? So
Yeah.
if he doesn't do his job, the blame falls on you. Vice versa, if it's an offensive head coach that's hired, it falls on you. So, but my question to you, Dilly, is what can you tell us about Eberflus? Because since it's coming from your Colts. I don't know much about him. All I know is that he's been a good defensive coordinator.
I think from the discussions around the league, it's just like it's a solid hire for the Bears. They've got a very good defense. Well, they've got a very they've got talent on that defense, correct?
Yeah.
And he's going to be able to get the best out of them. He got out of some very good pieces in the Colts. He managed to make the most of Darius Leonard, and it'll be interesting to see whether similar tactics with some of the Bears linebackers, somebody like Roquan Smith, whether he starts to get more fumbles next year. or starts forcing more fumbles or things like that from the linebacking position because of just how he'll bring about a different culture of trying to get the ball
Well, he
out.
is a linebacker coach. He has been a linebacker coach in the past. I've just done sort of like a quick skim through read. He interviewed for the Bears job back in 2016, I believe.
As for
Uh,
head coach,
yeah, but I think he lost it to 2019, and he ended up losing it to Freddie Kitchens. So I mean, that's in
wait,
hindsight. Freddie was already in
the
the
Bears
organization.
hired Freddie Kitchens as head coach when?
No, Browns. Sorry, Browns.
Browns.
Yeah, Browns. Yeah. So I mean, I always like to look into these things, and I see these traits. So he's a defensive minded coach, made his name through linebackers, developing them. He was with like DeMarcus Ware, Anthony Spencer, Sean Lee, Rolando McClain. So that interior of the defense, which is, I mean, the Bears have always been a good defensive team and unit. So I have no doubt he'll bring that out because he has the talent there. You know, you've got Trevathan, you've got Mac over there. Like they're going to be a stout team, but he needs to get that offensive side of the ball right. Because if he
So
doesn't,
that will be the combination between him and the new GM, getting the
yeah,
right
Yeah.
pieces around because that offense is devoid. It's not. It's devoid of cohesion. It's devoid of like you've got a very good back in David Montgomery. You've got a Tariq Cohen was injured this season,
yeah,
but
it's a shame.
he's a good secondary option. Um, Wide receiver wise, one player who has performed better than people expected is Darnell Mooney,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm putting myself out on a limb that he could find himself in a better position next year with regards to how he performs, because obviously with the development of Justin Fields, don't know where. Well, Alan Robinson's probably not going to be there next year, so it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. So it's dependent on what wide receiver one they bring in, because they need one.
Daniel Mooney could be their wide receiver one. He has the potential to do it.
Does he have the physical traits to be that wide receiver one though?
Steve Smith didn't have the traits, but he ended up being a wide receiver one for majority of his career.
From what you've seen of Daniel Mooney, do you think he's capable of being it?
I
It's
think
all on
so.
how serious he takes the
No,
game.
because
He's got
right
to put in the
now
work.
he has okay, so he's
He's
5'11",
175.
174, 175. Antonio Brown is 5'10", 1 something. Antonio Brown's not 200 pounds, but he was a 6th round pick that developed himself into at some point the best wide receiver for like a 3-4 year stretch
Yeah,
in
5'10",
NFL.
185. So he's got
And also the fact that
Mhm.
he's got a speed though, because he ran a 4.38, so he definitely can fly, and he's shown that the hunger. And just this past year, they had inconsistent quarterback play, because of Matt Nagy and Andy Dalton, like quarterback shuffle. But next year we know Justin Fields probably going to be the starter for the whole year. So, and he has great chemistry with Justin Fields already, because he and Fields have this chemistry whereby that the times that Fields played, they seem to be able to connect and make big plays happen. And just building up the 1,055 yards, I think he has opportunity to shine. But you're right, they do have to upgrade their wide receiver core around him. But I think he's someone that has opportunity, because
I
for me,
think
when it comes to receivers, as long as you're consistent in catching the football and you have that 4.3, 4.4 speed, I always give you a chance to be a number one in my book.
and in my opinion, they need to make more of Cole Kmet, who's a very good tight end,
Yep.
who is
They
due a
do.
breakout from a tight end perspective because he's a young guy, but it's because when you don't have a lot of options on the receiving end, you receive a little bit more of the coverage. But another hire for the head coach position, which has not raised a few eyebrows but made a few people think that there's a potential coming in for a trade, is the Broncos hiring Nathaniel Hackett, who was the offensive coordinator for the Packers.
Yeah.
Is Aaron Rodgers going to Broncos?
Look, man,
I
like
don't know.
you can never say never, but this does definitely seem like a hard push to try and get him there. There is familiarity. There are loads of other candidates that would have been viable for the job. Hackett's a good hire, but it's kind of like did it have to be Green Bay? Especially in an offense where LaFleur's calling the plays. You've got Aaron Rodgers there, who's transcendent. He's always been that kind of guy anyway. So in terms of developing him, don't get me wrong, I'm sure he had a
There's no
large
need to
part in
develop.
it.
There's no.
But
There's
how
no need
much
to
did you
develop.
develop? It's
You
like,
don't need to develop. It's not. It's not about that. It's more about they're trying to.
yeah,
It's just that working relationships that you
working
can hit the
relationship.
ground
Yeah,
running.
it's kind of like a shoe in, because now Aaron Rodgers, when he does go there, he's got a familiar
Oh, and
face,
if he does go there, we don't know
offensive
whether he's going
concepts
there.
that he already understands and that are already put on that can be installed into that team for him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's making that landing a lot better. You know what I mean? They have the defense. Everyone can see it.
Now,
But
well,
you look
I'll
at the
stop you there 1
receivers.
second.
They've got the receivers and the running backs.
Yeah.
If Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver, it's not about them installing the offense for him. He becomes the offense.
Yeah.
That's what Peyton Manning did. I'm here because you don't have a quarterback, so you're gonna run the offense I want you to run. The receivers, I'm gonna work with you to run the routes I need you to run. But the only thing with Aaron Rodgers is this, though. Over the course of his career, he hasn't shown. He sort of attaches himself to one or two wide receivers, like
So Devontae
and Randall Cobb. Like Devontae and Cobb were his most trusted receivers, and
Jennings,
he'll try and get the ball to them. But the thing is that when he was coming up in Green Bay, I think the slight criticism that I'll have of Aaron Rodgers is the fact that when he was growing up, he had Greg Jennings, he had Randall Cobb, he had Jordan Nelson, so he was spreading the ball around.
Did he have Donald Driver, or was that just?
Yeah, he did. That was towards the tail end.
For a bit.
He had him for a good, I think, 3.
He had him for like
3 or 4
3 years,
and then he went, and then he retired.
But towards the latter part of his career, it's one of the reasons why Greg Jennings left the Packers, because Aaron started throwing the ball to Jordan Nelson around the Cobb more, and Greg wasn't getting his targets as much. Because Aaron Rodgers always get affinity to 2 wide receivers that he clings on, and they're the ones that he connects with and makes throws to. And that is his down. He shouldn't do that. He should spread the football, because what Peyton Manning did. Let me finish this. What Peyton Manning did when he got to Denver was the fact that he called Decker, Julius Thomas, Demarius Thomas, the late great Demarius Thomas, Eric Decker, Wes Walker. He called all those 4 receivers. They went off in the offseason, they trained together, got the offense down pat. And when they came back to the regular season, about 3 of them all had 1,000-yard seasons, because everybody got their numbers.
Didn't he have his record? He had his record season in that, didn't it? What, 50 touchdowns?
Yeah, exactly. So that's my slack criticism. Aaron Rodgers will go to Denver. He will maybe pick Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and feed him the ball. And what about the rest of the guys?
Well,
the offense will still be great.
Noah Fant's a hell of a tight end.
That's true.
He'll be. I think Noah Fant,
he's better than Jermichael Finley, though. The last great tight end Aaron Rodgers had was Jermichael Finley. Tanyan played well, but
but Daniel got injured as well, so
yeah, that's true.
But I think Noah Fant is slightly more talented in the tight end, in the receiving game than Tanyan is.
Oh yeah, more athletic, definitely.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see whether Rodgers goes there at all. The thoughts from Ian Rappaport were it's going to require more than a first.
Well, Denver, you've got picks. Trade them up. What are you waiting for? Because you're not going to find a young quarterback in this draft class that's going to be good enough in this upcoming draft class. Nathaniel Hackett is there. Call Green Bay in the offseason. Try and work out a deal. If you have to give up a first, if you have to give up 2 firsts, do it. Heck, the Rams gave up 2 firsts and a second to get Matthew Stafford to come to LA. So if it's going to take that type of a deal, you're getting Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be the current MVP. They haven't announced it yet, but I think he's going to win it this year.
He's going to get
he's a favorite. So you're getting a current, and the thing is, even if it's 3 first-round picks, you do it in a sense that you're getting a reigning MVP. And when was the last time? I don't think it's ever happened in NFL history. A team trade a current reigning MVP.
MVP. Yeah.
Suppose, but Green Bay also are in a tough situations because the thing is, are you just gonna let Jordan Love's rookie deal just goes to waste? Because kind of like we haven't seen him, and it's going up what 3 or 4 years now.
This is his
He's
third
going up
season,
to.
I think. Well, he's going. Wait, this is heading into. He's going to be heading into year 3 next year.
Yeah.
So
So
they've
you've got to
essentially
play
got
him.
him
You
playing
can't.
for free for the next
About 3 years.
3 years, essentially.
Providing you pick up the option.
Yeah. So I mean, he can't ask to get paid unless he somehow balls out and has like an amazing campaign and year. We're talking like big numbers, which isn't going to happen. So it's kind of like he's stuck because he knows he's not going to get paid. He's going to have to take the extension deal
The
and
only
ride it
thing,
out.
the only person who I feel really sorry for is Devontae.
I
Because
don't
he's going
feel
to
sorry
get he'll get, like, if Rodgers goes, he'll get
Yeah.
franchise tagged.
Yeah.
He will.
So it's
Can't
one
say-
year
yeah,
of
true,
his
okay,
career
I
that he's going to
understand.
get labored with a quarterback who's developing and is nowhere near capable of getting
His
in the ball.
pockets will be fine because he demands top. Oh, well, he's fine. He's already been paid, hasn't he?
No, he hasn't. He's
He
a
hasn't.
free
Oh,
agent
he's
unless
going to get it
unless
anyway.
they tag him.
He's
No, but
going to
my
get it
question
anyway.
is okay. So
But
if
his
Rodgers,
numbers will suffer.
but here's the thing though: if Rodgers goes to Denver and Devontae is in Green Bay, now is the first opportunity that we get to see something. Were you a product of Rodgers or were you top billing? Because think about it, when you compare it to some of the other top wide receivers that we've seen in the league that have been able to operate without an
D-Hop's
elite
a
quarterback
prime
so
example.
far, like Larry Fitzgerald did it for most of his career. In Houston, Andre Johnson did the same thing. He didn't really have top quarterback. I mean, Mashab was better than average, but he wasn't like elite
Because D-Hop's
quarterback.
had both. He had who was a quarterback prior to
Oh my
Deshaun?
God.
He had Brock Osweiler,
Brock
Brandon
Osweiler.
Weeden for some time. He just had he had even the guy Brian Hoyer
Brian
during the ball
Hoyer,
sometime.
Yeah,
He even
Sharp.
had
remember
Case
those
Keenum
days.
for a while.
He's had everyone and produced with everyone. And
Josh
that's a
McCown.
conversation I don't think Devontae wants to have. Adams just doesn't want that kind of conversation. I can see a situation where he turns into like AJ Green in that, let's say he gets a little bit of an injury. No, not in terms of numbers. He's going to be a good receiver regardless, but he's going to have a few injuries and he's going to ride those injuries for like half a season where he doesn't play because he's basically
Is this your hot take? Is this your hot take?
No, it is my
Devontae
hot take
Adams?
because I've seen it before. Receivers get like despondent in their situation. They know the team's not going anywhere. He understands he's arguably he's a generational talent at receiver. So he's just there festering away. So he's there. You know what? I've got this foot. I'm gonna put Kawhi Leonard. I'm just gonna sit out the rest of the year. You know, he's not gonna and everyone in the organization will take his word on it because he's not that type of guy. But he will become that type of guy, and eventually he'll be like, just release me or trade me. There's no point.
Right. So Brian Daboll is expected to become the head coach of the Giants.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That I hope they announce it because Miami wants him as well. So and also I think New York was
I
supposed to
think so.
Miami.
Apparently,
And I
so
think
Miami. So from the discussions that Ian Rappaport had with Pat McAfee today on their show,
yeah,
Miami aren't doing their interviews until next week. This next round of interviews.
yeah.
And the Giants are going to be pressing ahead and offering Daboll the job potentially this weekend.
Well, they should have done it today.
Which will mean Miami Dolphins may get forced to speed up their timeline, or he just falls out of that running and he takes the job of the Giants.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, well, he won't because right now I think out of the candidates that the Giants are considering, the guy from the 49ers, the OC there, I think Michael McBride or something, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore and Brian Dable. Dable's better than those two guys because Dable's a play caller. McBride hasn't called plays. Kellen Moore,
He does
but
call
he's still got a
plays,
little
yeah.
bit more. He does, but I think
Calls plays,
Kellen
but McCarthy's
needs-
fingerprints.
Do you
all
know what
over it.
do you know what this year he did manage to do, and he managed to impress me in that he got rid of his gadgety plays, which used to lose you 15 yards. Because that was a key thing last year. They would get, they would have massive rhythm in their offensive game, and then he would call a dumb play, and they would be back 15 yards, 2nd and 25, and all the momentum, and then they'll go
I
3
think
and
that
out.
comes with maturity in the position. Like he's a very young OC. Like you have to understand, he was playing football 5 years ago. So
he wasn't good.
he wasn't that good. He was amazing at Boise State. Dallas did bring him in as a late pick, and he stayed in that team in that offense. So he's one of those guys. Like we'll get on to Josh McCown getting interview jobs over other head coaches later on, but all I'm saying is that he's still a very young offensive coordinator, and he has a bright future. But teams just need to understand, like they always want like these hotshot young minds, but there is a thing as I think too young. He's still finding his feet.
There's no such thing as too young. You've seen that with Sean McVay.
Yeah, that's true.
I know, but Sean McVay wasn't.
But the difference is that McVay.
He's an exception. He's not the rule. That's the thing.
Yeah.
No, but and McVay also grew up in NFL circles. He had been coaching in NFL circles since he was like 23, 24 as quality control, and he was working his way up the ladder.
I think,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think Dable, I wonder why the Giants not offering a job today. I mean, they might offer it tomorrow, but why waste another day? Because you've already got the GM from Buffalo. They have a relationship. Give him the job. But although one thing that I'm curious with the Giants is, from reports I've heard that they're trying to they said they're gonna build a team around Danny Dimes, thinking that the previous regime failed him terribly, which in some aspects they did. But I'm just like,
I don't think he's the quarterback of the future. But the thing is, this could be a situation for Daboll where first year they'll write it off, right?
he's already been given time.
He'll definitely get a year under center to see what happens.
Right, you write it off, and if they like they're not it's highly unlikely that they make the playoffs next year. So they're gonna have an early pick, and that 2023 class for quarterbacks looks rather tasty.
Yeah, but I think Dable will probably get the first 2 years though, because think if Joe Judge got 2 years, you gotta give Dable at least 2 years.
Dable 2 years, but he might be able to turn that whole ship around because that team has energy. They've always played with energy.
The issue is that offensive line just doesn't exist. They've made picks on that offensive line.
That's why they need to rebuild.
Yeah.
Although they have a good left tackle, Andrew Thomas, though he's come round.
Or change
he's the only
scheme.
good one on the offensive
Become more
line.
of a downhill team.
That's the problem. They've got 4 spaces that they still need to fill.
Yep.
It's a lot, and it's a big reason as to why they can't run the ball well. Other head coaching positions which are still open. The Raiders are rumored to be going for offensive coordinator of the Patriots. Josh McDaniels.
Oh man.
Embrace the dark side. Embrace it.
Yeah, but
this reeks of Davis getting involved. It's fair enough. Like he's the owner, but it's kind of like.
Yeah, but do you put it past it? That's the culture.
I honestly
of the
look as though he's
though.
like, man, those Patriots. There's something about them. Like they always win.
And it's not Josh. And it's not Josh.
Pardon?
It's not McDaniels.
Okay, so here's the thing. When it comes to like man management, right, and roster and stuff like that, Josh is awful. I don't know if he's learned from his earlier stint in Denver and
him turning the back on the Colts.
Yes, I don't know if,
He's done
but
after
when it
that.
comes to
He
when
ain't
it
getting
comes to offensive football, you gotta give him a props. He's up there with the best of the best. Like you cannot say
Yeah,
he can't coach
but
Well,
offensive
as a
yeah,
head
football.
coach,
running an
As
you're
a head
operation is a
coach,
responsible.
yeah,
different
I
thing.
get a question marks. They're valid, but in terms of offensive acumen, he's pretty good.
Yeah, that's fine. But when you become a head coach, it's more than that. You're in charge of the whole football team. You know what I mean?
I know.
Not from like a business side, but you're in charge of football operations. So you're making sure like all the other coaches are in line.
Do you
I
know who
think
the
Josh
rumor?
Do
wa-
people get
McDaniels,
second chances though?
Do you
no,
know
he
the rumor
doesn't
of
need
where
one.
Bisaccia is going to end up?
Huh?
Special teams coach for the Bears
Yeah,
ahead.
that's
That's
what I've
terrible,
heard.
though. That's terrible. They shouldn't do that. They should give the job to Bisaccia. I mean, I've already said it. The players wanted to go to
But
Bisaccia.
if Bisaccia ends up at the Bears, that's a hell of a coaching kind of like
What
um
demotion?
no, but setup. No, because he was interim head coach, so he was special
He did
teams
a good job.
coordinator, and then he's interim head coach, and he did a very good job.
Uh-huh.
They should give him the job, in my opinion. They're not going to
I
give him the
agree.
job
Yeah, because Mark
because
Davis is a bit of an idiot.
I think
Established
they're
that.
thinking of it like sort of the whole Freddie Kitchens situation. Like he can do really
Well,
well in
with
the
the
vacuum.
Browns.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. That was the Browns. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I just, and I think there was also talk about Jim Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh's gonna stay in Michigan
He's staying in
now.
Michigan,
I
especially
Well,
don't,
no.
after the
I
season
don't
he's
think.
had.
Do you
He ain't
know?
going
Do you know what
nowhere.
this? So, guess what the discussion again? I'm gonna quote Rap Sheet and Pat McAfee. So, apparently, the interest was feigned from the Raiders.
Oh, so it wasn't real interest. It was like a fake one from
There
them.
was interest from, from Harbaugh himself.
Yeah.
He got his head, semi-turned, but the Raiders had no real interest. They just wanted to try and create a bit of like want for coaches to say, actually, no, I'd rather go there rather than having a guy come back out of college.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. I don't understand what Mark Davis is doing because you have Harbaugh that would be willing to leave Michigan for the Raiders, and it will be a perfect situation because here's the thing about Harbaugh. Yes, I know towards the end of his reign in San Francisco, people said he was a bit, hard to get along with, but
That was Trent
he
Baalke,
was a,
man.
but he was a good football coach. I mean, come on, like,
Isn't he at the Jags at the moment?
Yes, he
well,
is at
they're
the
trying to get rid
Jags.
of him anyway. But
No,
Trent
no.
Baalke was the problems at the 49ers. He blew that
There's
but
a
whole
reason.
thing up.
There's a reason why Pat McAfee calls it Clan Town.
Yeah.
But before we go, but my thing is, just hire Harbaugh. Harbaugh is a very good coach, and he will turn the team around. Trust me, like
Yep.
he's what he. It took him a long time to turn Michigan around, but in the NFL, it won't take him that long because he already knows how to coach in the NFL.
Well,
Yep.
I don't think. Yeah, I think he's.
I don't think he's leaving
gonna
Michigan
be.
though.
No, I don't think
After
so.
the season they've had.
No, but he
Now-
wanted to until the Raiders were not really interested. That's
He
the
was
thing.
given another one of those Gruden deals, the 10-year long ones at Michigan, and now he's finally showing.
Well, they're
fruits of
finally
his
getting.
labor.
They've turned the corner.
They've turned that corner. Like he's not really going to go. I think he's going to ride this one out. And like I said, at the end of his tenure, he's not. It's not like he's an old coach. He can go back into the NFL then, and he's got his ear on the pulse with college football. So he's going to be. He knows all the best players coming out of college probably for the next 3-4 years, because he's tried to recruit them. So it's just one of those things. I don't think it's within his interest. One thing I do have to say about Mark Davis is that sometimes with a lot of these OG owners, they're very much like, how can I say, spectator sort of owners, in that they always go for what they assume is success. Like, for example, the Patriot streets, everyone's realizing that coaches from the Patriots organization right now, like interim coaches, former coaches that have then gone on to be head coaches, a lot of it is like snakebite. Like it's basically like a toss up. It's not guaranteed. You've had Flores succeed. You know what I mean? But then for every one of those, there's three other guys that have just gone to other teams and just haven't sort of delivered. Like, look, Joe Judge, Matt Patricia.
So
Like, just because you're around greatness doesn't mean you are great. You know?
Yeah, but I think the mistakes that those guys are doing is that they're trying to be Belichick. Just be yourself, man. You're not Belichick.
I don't think they
That's
are.
what. No,
I
no, no.
think
That's what it is. Because in Detroit, that was the news that came out. The players were like, he tried to be
yeah,
Belichickian, like he tried to be Bill Belichick, like operate and act and do everything like how Belichick does. Right players, critical, you know, all the tough, hard nosed coaching that Belichick does. That's what I tried to do. Same thing. Josh McDaniels tried to do that with Denver. And Flores didn't do that. Flores was himself.
yeah,
He was, I am
his
who
own
I
man.
am. You know.
right, Jags. I think they're expected to have Leftwich come in.
That's the news.
That's the
But
news.
so I've been following it a bit, and apparently, Leftwich wants them to appoint former
A different
Cardinals
GM.
safety,
Yeah.
vice. I think he's a vice president of pro scouting for the
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals. Adrian Wilson as a GM. He doesn't want to work with Bulky, and I think that's the hold up there at the
Yeah,
moment.
but he's
Yeah.
well. You know, I don't blame him. I would want to work with him as well. He's gonna run that organization into the ground. Like it's just
Oh no, running into the
Jags have a
ground.
problem, man.
It is already the
It's
ground.
already ran to the ground, but it's gonna stay there with him as GM. Like I feel sorry for the Jags. Like it was both of those guys had to go, but obviously you couldn't get rid of Bulky. He should have never been hired. You know, Khan definitely needs someone in that room with him next time to be like, look, this guy's not getting hired.
He needs a different Khan.
Yeah, he's training his son. Maybe his son can take over. You know
So
what I
yeah,
mean?
so
I wasn't
apparently
talking about that. I was talking about this one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, so that's the hold up there. That I think eventually they're gonna get rid of him. I would love my owner to sack our GM and make Adrian Wilson GM, but he's not gonna do that. So, um, plus you don't sack a GM coming off an 11-win season, no matter how bad the season finished. So
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the thing.
because that's basis of building the roster. That's what the GM's supposed to do.
Yeah.
A head coach,
I know, but
creating a slide. That's not the GM's fault.
okay, now I'll tell you why. When it comes to my Cardinals, the GM's fault. When you build a roster that's top heavy and you get hit by injuries, that's part of the things that happen. So he's at fault. The coaches are at fault for not adjusting.
Aren't the Rams top
Well,
heavy?
he's just gonna slide all that blame down to
No,
the scouting department.
no, you can't scout the scouting department because as GM, you have to make the right
You're
decision.
responsible. You're responsible for
You're
all
responsible,
the
yeah.
work
Exactly, like
underneath.
how we talked about the head coach thing. If your scouts are shit, it's on you. You hired them. So what are you doing hiring poor scouts? That's the thing. I mean, he's not good at drafting. We've already established that. But the thing is, at the end of the day, when injuries occur, it's up to the GM to be able to find good roster spots. Like for instance, when we had Russell Douglas on our practice squad, and then we released him and going to Green Bay, and he's had an outstanding
What a beautiful
season.
decision that was, wasn't it?
But you get what I'm saying. But the thing is, like, if the
Yeah.
coaches say that Russell Douglas is not a fit for our team, great GMs who are very good talent evaluators, like Chris Ballard, like Brett Veach from the Chiefs, will be like, I know you guys say you don't have use for him, but I'll keep him on the roster because as a GM, you have the decision to keep the player on the roster, on the practice squad, and protect him from being poached. So as a GM, you could make that
Yeah,
decision.
but from
Yes,
the practice squad, they can be poached.
no, not if you protect them. This
Oh,
year
if you put them
they've
on
changed
a
the roles.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
you can protect up to 3 players on your practice squad, whereby no
Mm-hmm.
other teams can sign them. So if this player is a player that you think has potential as GM, if the coach says that, oh, you can release this player, we don't think he's buying into the scheme. But if you know he has the talent, like your Ballard does that and Brett Veach does that. Like there's certain GMs that are excellent scouts. And when they know what they're looking for, they'll disagree with a coach and be like, look, I'm not gonna release this player. I'll protect him just in case we need him down the line. We might not need him now, but as we went into November, December, our cornerback depth was depleted. We was like when we played what team did we play that we had when we played the Rams? We had this guy called Brian Borders who was stacking shelves the week before we signed him onto the team, and he couldn't play. So that's one of those things. But I mean, the Jags, if they get Adrian Wilson and Brian Leftwich, it'll be a good move for them. See if Brian Leftwich can help Trevor Lawrence develop.
Yep. Dolphins. I still think it was an error for them to get rid of their head coach, but
We all do.
that's gone now. Who are the head coach candidates? Because at the moment it is listed as Daboll is a candidate, but I don't expect him to go there. Mike McDaniel.
Kellen that's
Moore,
a San Francisco guy.
Vance Joseph.
Well, Vance Joseph is not getting
Dan Quinn.
Yeah, he said he's
Dan
staying
Quinn is
put
bad
in
now. He
Dallas.
said he's staying in Dallas.
He said he's
So
staying put in Dallas.
he stated he's staying. So you want Vance Joseph, obviously, for selfish reasons, to go. Do you think he's going to be the one that they eventually pick?
Pardon?
Do you
Pardon,
think
what's your question?
Vance Joseph is going to be the one that's going to be going there, or do you think it's going to be one of the other ones?
I don't think so, because according to Ian Rappaport, they've now requested second interviews with Daboll next week, Mike McDaniel and Kellen Moore. So they're
those are
moving
the
on
three
to that.
finalists.
Yeah. So
You're
Vance
stuck
Joseph
with him.
not going anywhere. As much as it's like a charging to me. So let him stay. 2022. Part of me wants us to flop so he can get fired. That's my thing. So
Never want your team to lose. Honestly, what kind of fan are you?
Welcome
right.
to my world, Pete.
Right. New
a progressive
Orleans.
fan.
New Orleans. Who do we think is going to be going for that one?
It's a tough
That's
job to take. As a DD fan base.
Well,
especially to Wade.
considering the cap issues and what that team's going to look like next year.
Well, they requested to interview Brian Leftwich, so it's kind of like if the Jags don't make their mind up quick, they could snatch Leftwich up from right up under their nose, which is something that the Jaguars would totally do, and let the Saints do that.
Yeah,
which is a totally Jaguars move. They're interviewing Dennis Allen. They've also requested to interview Aaron Glenn, the DC for the Detroit Lions. He was the DB coach for the Saints before he went over with Dan Campbell to the Lions to be the DC for the Lions. They requested to interview him. And they've also requested to interview there's one other guy.
Josh McCown?
Not Josh McCown, but the name was in my head. So they've requested 3 interviews. So they've got, those are the 3, I think. And Brian Flores as well. The Saints wants to interview him for their head coaching position.
Do you think Flores would be a good fit there?
It's the type of situation he thrives in. Because the Saints at the moment, I could say that they are their defensive team. Their defense is top tier talent. Now with the cap issues, it depends on how much of the defense they're gonna do. But then the cap issue is not an issue because Mickey Loomis is a cap wizard. They'll find a way to even keep all their players. Like how last year they had similar issues and they still find a way to keep them.
I don't think they're keeping all of their players this year.
Are you sure?
No. Yeah, I'm sure. I know that at least.
Well, you can't keep kicking the can down the road.
You can't keep kicking the can down the road. Eventually, the salaries have to tot up in the season. It's just how it is. So they're projected 76.5 million at the moment.
I'll gladly take Cam Jordan. He's good.
And as I said, the difficulty is some of their highest earners they cannot shift. No, they cannot shift them.
That means that they have to release them, I guess.
No. They can't release them because of the dead cap that the cap hit that they will have.
So then, do they have to trade them?
No, because trading you still have dead cap.
So what's the solution then?
So certain players will have to go, right?
Yeah.
Now, say for example, Cam Jordan is an example. Currently would be 22.8 million against the cap.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's traded after June 1st, 8 million. So that's 14 million you save in one hit.
So trade him after June 1st, like the Falcons, like the Falcons did with Julio, right? They traded him
Right,
around
so
June.
but there are other players, say for example, like Marshall Lattimore, the most expensive player on the salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
The cap hit, the dead cap, would be higher than their cap hit.
What's the dead cap?
So the dead cap currently is $40 million. But
Woo.
the cap for the after June 1st would be 29.9, but the cap hit if he was on the roster is 27.4. So it would take him in the wrong direction. So it's a really complicated situation. We had a little discussion on this the other day, but it's going to be very interesting to see who they manage to go ahead with. That roster may have a significant shake-up. I think Michael Thomas could actually go from there this off-season because they would save just under 14 million if they get rid of him after... Not under... they would save 16 million.
And what will be the
Post June
cap hit for
1st.
the new team?
So cap here, so currently he's 24.7 million against the cap. And post June 1st it would be 8.9 dead cap. So it's the balance, isn't it? It's 16 million, wouldn't it be?
Who needs a wide receiver one though?
Colts.
Would you take Mike T?
I don't think he's the kind of receiver that we need though. He's a possession receiver, isn't he? Already got
Yeah,
one.
he's a slanking.
Yeah, we've got a possession receiver already.
But that's your possession receiver run slants as well as Michael Thomas. Is a guaranteed first.
No, I know that. It's more, I know that, but it's more of variety in wide receiver play. You need to have that, correct?
You sure you don't want to slant a team to death? Mike T can give you that.
Just left side, right side, slant. No, because Carson Wentz holds on to the ball too long.
Just tell Carson, listen, you don't hold the ball. 1-2 step, release it. He's gonna catch it. Cause like the thing is, I mean, he runs other routes as well. But when I think of Michael Thomas, I'm like, if there's one
it's
route
comebacks, slants,
in the NFL,
it's just these short.
that
But that's
that
because
he's
of how
made
Breeze ended his career as
his
well. wasn't it?
trademark. No, but I just think that he's perfected it to a point whereby I've never seen a wide receiver be so good on slants and comebacks. Like it's an automatic reception for him. Like
well, those are the head coaching hires, prospective candidates. A fair amount of discussion on those, and those are worthy discussions as well because that will determine the futures of these franchises. But now it's the business. The business end of this weekend. AFC Championship is the first on the billing. Oh, pun. Sorry, Bills fans. But Chiefs, Bengals. Another shootout potentially between Burrow and Mahomes. Mm-hmm. Now, some discussions that I heard was that last time around the Chiefs blitzed Joe Burrow.
mm-hmm.
Do you think Spagnuolo is going to make the same error this time?
He'll do it. He's going to blitz him.
Yep.
You don't need to blitz him.
Well, he doesn't need to, but at some point you
The
want to
reason
mix up
why
your
there's a reason
coverage.
why you don't need to blitz him, because you can get with there with
Well, it's like
4.
a safe.
Was it Adeniji, number 77?
See, hold on a second. Is the whole listen? Don't
No,
pick
no, no, no.
Adeniji
If
out,
you look at
okay?
if you look at the PFF grades, there were some of the offensive linemen had like 60 out of 100, I think, and he had like a
Okay.
30 something.
Okay, all right. So, but then I trying to tell me he's the one that gave up 9 sacks last week. It's not just him.
It was more of there were multiple sieves.
Yeah,
He
but he
was
didn't
just the
give
most
up 9
glaringly
sacks.
obvious. He
I
was
think
just the
the
most.
thing is that there's too many gaps in the sieve. So I think if he needs to go into this game, like if he's going to attack Joe Burrow, you need to test the waters. So you're going to see. There's no way, like in the NFL, you're going to have a bad offensive line game, and then you're going to go into your
I got
next
that
game
right
and
as well.
show
It is
more of the
Adeniji.
same. That's just not going to happen.
I'll actually bring no, I won't bring it up on the actual stream, but right, okay. So offensive grades from last weekend,
No, I don't want to grade.
Jack-
I want. Okay, give us the grades.
right? From the O line. So Carmen, number 79, had a 71. Jonah Williams had a 66. Isaiah Prince had a 61. Quinton Spain, he was Spain without the S, 58. And then Trey Hopkins, number 66, 50. And Hakeem Adeniji, 33.
Okay, so what I'm interested in is who gave how many sacks. That's what I really want to know. Who gave up how many
I
sacks?
don't have that detail. This was literally my friend who supports the Bengals. All he did was put an arrow to Adeniji. He goes, "You called it," because I said it during the game. I said, "I'm 77 in this game's a liability."
Well, they ain't got nobody else because he's gonna play this week, so they ain't got nobody else. I know he's gonna
And
play
the funny
somewhere.
thing, I asked him, I was like, I know. So I want the teams that I want to win this weekend are the Rams and the Bengals. He does not
Okay.
want to see that Rams D line against that O line because I think they may do more damage than what the Titans did. I think it could be a Super Bowl record.
It could be
Trust
crazy,
me.
man.
Like, do you actually want Joe Burrow to survive? Like, why do you want such a wish on this young dude?
It's
Like,
hard, man.
and the funny thing is, it's not even a case of like the 49ers are any better. They can also pass rush too. So it's not like they like 49ers got
Yeah,
pass
but
rush.
I don't
The
think
Rams
they're
have a pass rush.
as like they're great, but I think they're.
What did you say to me week
They're not as
18 when they
violent.
played the Rams?
What, me or was it Will?
Yeah, you said the Rams offensive line was like a what in week 18?
Swiss cheese.
And which defensive line made it that so?
Well, it's more of I'd seen that just for weeks. I'd seen that not just that week.
But that's what I'm saying because it shows the 49ers.
Do you know what was really interesting though? The guy who played in at left tackle. I know that's the other game that we'll discuss in a bit, but the guy who played at left tackle, he played quite well instead of Whitworth.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So that showed it up.
Bottom. Yeah, he's really good. He's one of their best left tackles, and I think they better extend him because he's a free agent. I hope they find some money for
Whitworth
him
is 40
because
years
Yeah,
old
they
as
will.
well, so we'll see
they need to find
about
some
that.
money for him because
But
he's played really well.
But getting back to this game, what are the keys? Okay, so we don't know whether Matthew's going to be back, but
He will be
he's
back.
trending towards yes.
After he saw that blown coverage, man, he was probably having fits. I don't think he's gonna let that happen.
Bro.
He's not gonna let his team go out like that.
Well,
on the
but
tail end.
it's up to the independent neurologist. So
Yeah, but
Listen,
he'll find a way.
Listen,
Find a way.
the independent neurologist should be like when you get to your car, there's a brown envelope. That's all I gotta say. That's a I'm gonna play for you.
He's gonna be like, the neurologist works for me, and I'm playing. I'm paying for his
But
This is a
examination.
championship game, man. Like this is a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So
This is it.
I think
Yeah.
the key is how upright is Joe Burrow in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
How does the Bengals defensive line create issues? Because they are capable. Trey Hendrickson is capable. The interior plays quite well.
Yeah, but the
How-
Chiefs'
Hubbard-
offensive line is
secondary.
not a slouch either.
But it's really a question on how's their secondary, because the front facilitates the back. So
So, here's a question with the Chiefs here. For me, it's like, can the Bengals defense keep it up for 4 quarters?
Doesn't need to.
Well, in
against
the
Kansas City, it
postseason,
does.
No.
against Kansas City,
The
we've
reason why I
realized they
say
need
does
to.
it need to, I'm comparing it to the last game between these two teams only a few weeks ago.
No, but what I'm trying to say that, okay, for me in my analysis, I throw the regular season game out because when you get to the postseason, we all know the levels change. You don't play like the regular season no more. When you get to the
Players play harder.
postseason, everybody play harder. So whatever happens in the regular season normally has no bearing in the postseason. Like in the regular season, the the Packers beat the 49ers easy, 29 something. That was a score. But in the postseason in Lambeau Field, it changed. 49ers completely shut down Green Bay's offense for whatever reason.
Yep.
So postseason plays completely different. Everybody expected the Packers to be the 49ers last weekend, but it was completely a different type of
Lopsided.
game. You get what I'm saying? So postseason is completely different play, and I feel like this game is going to be completely different in terms of, for me, the critical outcomes of the game is how are the Chiefs corners going to play the Bengals wide receivers, because you play them the first time and you guys didn't give Jamal Chase the respect that he's earned the whole year, and they paid for it. When I say the respect, what I mean by that is when one thing I've noticed with the Bengals offense, and I hope in the offseason how they're gonna respond to defenses, because defenses have a whole season of tape now, right? So when it goes to the offseason, they're gonna see how Jamal Chase played. He was excellent on 50-50 balls. If the ball is 50-50, you're not winning that. Jamal Chase is snatching that ball, and they beat the Chiefs cornerbacks to the ball at the top of the route so many times. Like as the game was going on, they feel like they're right there. But I'm like, sometimes when I watch cornerbacks,
He doesn't even need to beat him at the
NFL,
top of the route. He just can, like he can catch the ball in between 4 or 5 of them, just take it to the house
yeah,
instead.
that's true.
Yep.
But I'm talking about the critical plays. Like if you watch their regular season game that they played, the critical plays, that was like the swing
Oh
plays.
yeah, that was a critical one where that's what I was mentioning.
It was, but what I'm talking about, okay, so the scores that the plays that they made at the end of the game to win the game, like he threw one down the sideline and Jamal Chase just went up and got it. And I hate when people play cornerbacks, when the ball is 50-50 in the air, well, it's a 50-50 ball, so one of you is going to come up with it. As a corner, you have to be aggressive on 50-50 balls. You don't just be like a daisy with it, because receivers want that ball. So I think for me, that's one of my keys to the game, how the Chiefs corner is going to play, because Jamal Chase is coming to play now.
Other keys, we saw the best of Tyreek and Kelsey last week. How do the Bengals combat that?
They don't have a corner that can cover Tyreek. I know that.
Yep.
Does anyone have a corner that can cover Tyreek?
If he catches the
if you have a
ball,
Ramsey,
from a speed point of view.
well,
Not
that's
point of
obviously a
view.
no. But the thing is,
That's
you
a
don't
no,
let
wow.
Tyreek get into the situation where he crosses your face. That's
Yep.
poison.
Yep.
If you let him run across the field, he will beat your entire defense to the edge, and that's 15, 30 yards, if not a touchdown right there. So one thing I think they'll be telling their guys, you do not give up the inside. You have him over the top. You have the safety helping out as well, but you do not let him cross your face. You don't give him a clean release.
I think they're going to have to avoid getting these crossing routes.
No, absolutely. They have to be shut down. And the thing is, in order to do that, you've got to be really disciplined with your rush. Like, you can't send linebackers because they've got to be there to clean up. You know what I mean? If you send your linebackers, what are you doing? You're opening up the middle of the field.
Do the Bengals tend to send more safety blitzes than and corner blitzes rather than linebackers?
They do. They tend to do. They have that exotic blitz package in their defense. If they're not getting home with four, they'll send cornerbacks and safeties on blitzes. But
But they
that's
don't
a
tend to
risk.
send the linebackers generally.
No, but that's
No,
a risk
I
against
wouldn't. I wouldn't send a safety blitz,
quarterback.
honestly.
Yeah, I guess like Will is saying, it was absolutely right. You can't do that against Mahomes because
Also, you
he's
don't
gonna
tend to
burn you.
blitz Mahomes anyway. Generally, it's like the least blitzed
Yeah,
quarterback in the entire league. So,
he'll kill you.
One thing I'll say is
mhm.
that Kansas City, what they're going to do is they're going to test. They're going to let like whatever offensive line deficiencies they had in the last game. Kansas City is going to find that out early on in the game. They're going to basically say, "Show us you've shored up your offensive line. We're going to send pressure, all right up the middle, and you're going to have to show us you've dealt with it." You know, you've all
Hmm.
seen the film 300, right? You're only as strong as your
Yeah,
weakest link. So the
yeah.
guy next to you has to be strong. And Pete, he brought up a really good point in that just because one guy is giving up a lot of pressure, it doesn't necessarily mean he's the weak point. What's happening on that line is that someone else is missing their assignment, and as a result, everything folds in on one side. So that's why it's not always the case of the guy that's basically getting rushed through all the time. You know, if the defensive line is getting enough push, then the whole line will collapse. Either way, it doesn't matter how good that tackle is. The tackle will stone the end, and his QB is getting sacked behind him. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. They're going to find out if that line can cope, and if it can't cope, this game will probably be over sooner than a lot of people expect. You know,
The thing is, that's a very good point. And also, I just think this game, like, Jeffrey Simmons. Remember when we broke down the Bengals and the Titans game, and I said Jeffrey Simmons is gonna have a good game. He had 3 sacks in this game out of their 9 sacks that they had on Joe Burrow. He absolutely dominated on the inside. Now the Chiefs also has a Jeffrey Simmons type player who's probably even better than Jeffrey Simmons. And if I'm Chris Jones and I'm watching the game tape, if I don't have myself 3 sacks, I'll be pissed off. I'll be like, I had a very disappointing game
yeah,
because my guy went off on 3 sacks. I'm licking my chops. Like, I need some of those 3 sacks now.
absolutely. And here's the thing:
Um,
like, in order to alleviate that, Joe Burrow has to get rid of the ball faster. So the defensive line, defensive backs on the other side of the field, they've got to get rid of those time. Like, what you want to do is you want to have a good rush, all right, and you want to stop the routes early, not late.
Mhm.
You stop the routes early. If he completes a pass, it's got to be 4 or 5 seconds later. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So that's the way I see it.
welcome Niner gang to the stream, and we're going to be getting on to the Rams Niners game just after this one. We're talking currently about Chiefs Bengals. I really, really want Joe Burrow to do a madness. It's not that
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
your
like the
heart talking.
Chiefs. It's not that I don't like the Chiefs either.
That's your heart
It,
talking.
it's more. It's not even like I want to see. Not just like we've had Chiefs hosting AFC Championship 4 years in a row now, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And they've made 2 Super Bowls, won one, lost one. I don't want to see a repeat of just the same teams always and over, unless it's my Colts getting in, because then I do want to see a repeat. But that's
Well,
a
it's not the
different
same
thing.
teams,
That's
cause
because that's your own team. I don't want to just see the same guy getting in the Super Bowl year on year because that's just another Brady happening. And even though Mahomes isn't not another Brady, also we don't. Do we really want to see Jackson Mahomes?
what TikTok on the
I
sideline.
I actually
Yeah, I think that's
agree.
enough of a reason to just him and his fiance and Patrick's fiance are enough of a reason to not want this team to, because God, they annoy the hell out of
I'm,
everyone
I'm
else.
actually sort of rooting for Mahomes. I actually want to see him in the chip. only because I like greatness and I want to see him rise to the top. You know, and the thing is, I actually want this game to be as competitive as it can be. Um,
Same here.
I want to see Joe Burrows go out on his shield. That's what I want to see. I don't want it to be
Oh,
like,
he will.
he gets taken. I want to see him fight and I want to see him go out on his shield where everyone's like, yo, that was a good game. They played hard. It was
He
close
will fight,
all
but
the way.
he's Listen, Joe Burrow's gonna fight in this game. And one
Yeah,
thing I know about
that's
Joe
one thing he
Burrow,
is. He's always a fighter,
he's a
and
fighter. He'll come in this game,
now
but he's gonna get some. He's not leaving this game without 6 sacks, and the ice bath has to be tripled. I'm just letting you know, Joe.
That O-line came in.
You might even need a cryo chamber. Just get a cryo chamber ready ahead of the game because you know they're coming.
I'm actually gonna bring up, like, years ago we obviously had the Bounty Gate scandal, and there was that video footage, recording footage of what's his name, the head defensive coach. And one thing he said was, "Don't worry, guys, it's clean." He basically said that, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out how he deals with a pass rush and a guy bull rushes him back. We're gonna find out. And that, like I said, that's exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna find out if that O-line's about it, and if they're not, that's the game. That's it.
That when you talk Bounty Gate reminds me of the DC at the time, Greg Williams, and when I was watching America's game, and they were talking about how what do you call it? Greg Williams used to show the defensive images of lions attacking hyenas and other animals, and the aggressiveness that they were attacking them with. And I was like,
it just seems a bit corny, doesn't it?
It's corny, but I can get why the Saints were punished for that Bounty Gate thing, because I don't know what he was teaching them guys here, but they were knocking out quarterbacks during that time, and that was good for the game. Let me say that it wasn't good for the game, but before every game, all the pass rushers were being shown lions and hunting and blood and gory. It's like it's psychologically you're being trained to almost be a killer on the field, which was totally uncalled for, but hey, it worked for them at the time.
All right, predictions time for this game.
I'm gonna go with Mahomes. I think he hits 38-36. But as it's the playoffs, you'll be surprised.
High scoring thriller. Is that your expectation?
Yeah, I agree. I'll go with a scoreline of 38-28. Chiefs win by 10 points.
So you're saying
the reason why I said Chiefs win by 10 points. Yeah, but the reason why I'm saying that is because Burrow's been on a good wavelength the last 2 games. He had an outstanding game against the Raiders. Defense step up to the challenge. The Bengals defense step up to the challenge in the next game. And in this game against the Chiefs, I think we're going to see the levels. And I think he's going to come back even more stronger the next postseason because they're going to be showing the levels. And the reason why I say that is because Buffalo, right, in the divisional round, raised their levels from last year. And it still wasn't enough.
Yeah,
still wasn't enough.
That's the thing. Like you did the Bills didn't deserve to lose that game. We've established that they did everything possible.
I'll put an asterisk on that.
And it still wasn't enough. Well, I mean, both defenses were non-existent in the game anyway. The
exactly. So it was just.
Good. So
it was.
I mean, it's like the Bills really thought they were going to win that game when it was 13 seconds on the clock. They thought we've done it.
Well, we saw. Have you seen the sideline inside the NFL from the Bills side?
Yeah. They thought they had done it. They thought 13 seconds. And that's why I'm saying, like, so Bengals, Cincinnati, if it's 13 seconds, it's not done.
A funny one. I was watching some a guy on Twitch. He was streaming some Madden yesterday, and he Todd Gurley'd it. He had the ball and he ran the ball into the end zone. He was up 7. I was like, and it had Darrington Evans running back for the Tennessee Titans in the stream as well. I was like, he didn't just talk earlier and go. Darrington goes, "Yup," and then the other guy goes and so what happened before that was he had like 2 minutes on the clock left. I was like, and it's like, oh, plenty of time. Like, and then I put in the comment, you only need 13 seconds to get down the field.
Yep.
Especially in batting games, you could definitely you don't need much, but it's going to be a constant term of reference for the future. You don't need that long. You can do it in 2 plays. But my prediction, I predict the Chiefs will win this one. I hope they don't, but that's my prediction. Now, the NFC West showdown in the NFC Championship
Before you
game
go
at
on
SoFi Stadium. All right, quick, hold me back.
Breaking news! I just got an alert on my phone. Daboll is off the market. He's going to the Giants. Rappaport reported it just now.
Right.
Ooh.
So, Brian Daboll to the Giants, as we expected, as we discussed earlier on the cast. Nine gang. I just seen that comment. Yeah, he's really trying to make it. So they did put in some restrictions for the NFC Championship game for the initial sale. Was you had to be basically living in and around the LA area. But the difficulty is that some 49er fans are LA Rams season ticket holders. Did you know that?
Of course.
Have you seen? Because people obviously in
It's
big state
football.
of California,
Yeah.
like they live in that area.
Yeah.
Yep.
So and they're not going to change their team. And by having a season ticket, you're guaranteed to watch.
Hey, before we go on quickly, sorry, Dilly, to be breaking our stream here. So, Daboll's going to New York, and he's taking with him the passing game coordinator and QB coach from the Bills to be his OC in New York. So, Allen is being hit hard right now. You lose your OC, now you're gonna lose your QB coach and your passing game coordinator.
I think this is. I think it's the right time now for him. In the sense
It is,
that
but
he's made that jump. He's made that jump now.
No, he has. But here's the thing, though. Like, there's always you've made that jump, right? Correct. You've made it 2 seasons in a row, and he should be good, regardless losing those 2 guys. But we cannot say those 2 guys have not been great for Josh Allen. They have used his skill set to also help him develop. So now, no doubt about it, he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I'm not doubting it. All I'm saying is that there will still be a question in the offseason is, can he has the same amount of success without the OC? He will still be successful, but will it be the same amount without those OCs there? Because normally we expect a little bit of a regression when an OC moved on. The point whereby we don't expect a regression is when, let's say, Allen is like an 8-year, 9-year veteran. That's like you're 8, almost 10 years in the league. But Allen is only like 4 years in the league now. That's the point I'm making here. He's still a young quarterback.
It's going to be really interesting to see how he continues on this transcendent curve that he has now gained. Right, back to NFC Championship game. A bit of fun with regards to Rams not being able to fill their stadium with their own fans. But this game itself, it comes down to 2 things, in my opinion. Offensive line of the Rams, how they play, and how do the defense of the Rams deal with Debo. That is it. Because as we know, if Jimmy G does not throw a touchdown, they've won this game.
I mean, it's a lot easier to zone in on trying to stop one person.
So you can let him get 1 touchdown, just to break that. So then you're guaranteed a chance at least.
Okay, so Yeah, go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's a lot more straightforward to try and isolate one person, but to do that, you're basically saying we're gonna take him away, we're gonna sell out on stopping Debo, but and now you've basically got to beat us with whatever's left of you. You know, I mean, Jimmy G's
It's
not
all.
100%. He's been injured the majority of the playoffs, and he's going into this game sort of nursing
Mhm.
that shoulder as well. So it's an uphill battle. I just think the Rams right now are pretty much rolling. They're firing on all cylinders. We saw
Well,
the last
they
game.
did roll. They did just roll into the NFC Championship
Yeah,
game
and they're
after.
playing with no fear either. Like they are going straight for the jugular on throws down the field. You're not going to intimidate the Rams offensively or defensively. Like they're just going to look you right up and say, "All right, that's fine. I'll take my guys over yours." You know, whether it's Odell, Cooper Cup, we're going to find a way to beat you.
So, injury news, it looks like Trent Williams is probably going to be playing from left tackle position for the 49ers. Really, really important for the 49ers offensive side.
Yeah,
Because
Absolutely.
if he's not
Best
there,
left
then
tackle in football.
yeah.
yeah,
If it, well, did you see the was it the play last week where they put him in
Oh
motion?
yeah, in motion.
yeah.
Oh my word,
I
that's not
was like,
fair.
no, ain't nobody stopping that.
Yeah,
Like,
you just want to get out of the
no.
way, man. It's just
He crushed the dude. He
yeah,
basically put.
it's like getting mauled by a bear, literally. If a
No,
bear stood up on its hind
you,
legs,
no,
it's like you're getting mauled by a bear.
you know, like in Space Jam,
Okay,
in the
yeah,
Mhm.
original Space Jam,
Yeah.
like you know when Michael Jordan gets sucked into the cap when he goes into the Looney Tune world.
yeah,
Mhm.
That's basically what that good dude. He basically got pushed into the ground and he's going into
and that's
another
it. You're
dimension.
gone. No, that's going to be really crippling. Especially seeing as Von Miller is coming into his own. He's getting better every game. He's reclaiming his old form. He's more comfortable with the team. He's comfortable with that offense. So I think that's going to be like a huge injury. I just don't think the 49ers have what's needed to overcome this, man. Like they're going to have to play lights
You say
out.
that every
And
time they're
when
2-0
you're
versus them this season.
yeah,
They won
I
both
know, but
games.
it's playoff ball, man. It's playoff ball. Like I'm saying, it's when your offense is funneled through one player, it makes it well, obviously one dimensional, but it makes the defense unless they have like a game plan to sort of move the ball around. That's their only hope. If you're gonna force feed Debo, he will be shut down. Like everyone knows, Debo's a machine. He's gonna get by, but it's not gonna be enough. You know.
Well,
I think the
we saw last week that their offense wasn't that good.
yeah. I mean, last week it was
It was the defense that won them
well,
again, and the special teams as
They
well.
play
yeah,
fundamental
and
ball.
also the play, and also Aaron Rodgers just playing downright awful. Just trying to find Devontae Adams at all costs. This was part of the reason.
Yeah.
Because there were some open guys, he just didn't connect to them. He was
But
just trying to
so,
find
do you think this game could
Devontae.
come down to players like Higby and Van
I think it's gonna come
Jefferson?
to
Van Jefferson, if he gets rid of his drops, because he has a tendency to drop the ball at times,
yeah. I think OBJ
and
is gonna be a huge factor though.
I think he's really strong in the red zone. I think that's been like his MO
he breaks
up
ankles in
towards
the
the
Yeah.
red
tail
zone.
end of this season. Like he can get open in that small booth, and I think that's going to be
No,
huge.
but in the open field, he's also been crucial on third down. Like, do you remember the catch that he had against Tampa Bay? I think it was down the sideline, and it was
Yeah,
like a toe tap type of catch. I mean, he's finding his confidence, his groove. This could be one of the OBJ games, especially for this game. And for me, it comes down to this in terms of like how the Rams will play Debo. Because if Debo lines up a wide receiver, I guarantee Jalen Ramsey will be on him. But Debo is so dynamic, and the way they run him as a running back, it's almost like it's hard for a cornerback to tackle him because when he's coming out of the backfield, the cornerback has to fight through a lot of traffic to get to
mm,
him, and that's the issue. How do the Rams play the Niners run game? Because that run game is with Debo is serious. And can McVay finally beat Shanahan? That's a factor as well. He's never beaten Shanahan, strangely enough.
I think he can.
For the first time.
I'm
He's already lost his halftime record because of Shanahan.
Mm-hmm. And
maybe
Shanahan
Shanahan's just
and
got his
Shanahan
number.
is 6-0 against McVay.
Yeah, I mean they were all on the sort of Washington football team staff. Like I think it was him,
Yeah, we
Shanahan,
saw
and
Yeah.
LaFleur.
we saw that was
So
it. Shanahan, McVay,
LaFleur,
Matt LaFleur.
yeah. So I mean they've been around each other enough to sort of know their tastes, their tendencies. So maybe this could be one of those games where they each have each other's number. It's might not be a
We
high
thought they
scoring
would each
game.
have each other's. Oh right, so Shanahan had McVay's and LaFleur's number
LaFleur's
because
number,
they all
yeah,
kind of.
and he obviously has the coaching background. So I mean, the main reason I want the Rams to win this is because I kind of want the NFL to see what happens when an organization really wants to push to be great every year. I'm not talking
No.
about buying players, and I don't want to turn this into the Premiership or anything, but I want to get it across that the coach has got this tunnel vision mindset of doing what's best. Forget the bringing in new guys. It's more about the ethos of the team. That I have no fear. Like we have this expensive QB who's not getting it done. We're gonna move him and bring someone else in that can. I
We're
like
going to
that sort
spend
of
multiple picks as
aggressive
well on it.
aggressive ownership, and I think it sort of
Well,
benefits the league in general. If especially the teams that are sort of slacking behind, that are sort of coasting, employ
It's
that
a bit.
same kind of approach.
It's better than the aggressive kind of giving up a first round pick for Trent Richardson back in the day by
Yeah,
Richardson.
it's
okay,
more
so
methodical.
Yeah,
okay, so well, I
it
got a
is more
couple
methodical.
questions
It's a
for
lot more
you.
methodical.
Yeah,
My
go on.
question is this: well, I'm like, okay, so it's two ways because I don't think it's necessarily better for the league in terms of like, so
He's
if
just
teams
jealous
follow
because
this,
for his Cardinals.
no, not that. Like, if teams follow this model of fuck them picks, then what happens to the college prospects? What happens to your 4th, 5th rounders? How do they develop in the league? If let's say half or 20 or more than half of the teams are following this model whereby they're just dealing for veterans because they're just going all
Oh
in to
no, but
win.
that's what I said.
What
It's not
happens?
necessarily
What
about
happens to
acquiring players. It's
our
not so
4th,
much
5th
about
round picks that need time to develop? What happens to them that needs to play
yeah. It's
sometimes?
not so much about acquiring the players. I'm looking at it as more on their approach, like a more aggressive approach to make your team better. I know what you're thinking. Well, that's free agency. That's getting all the best players, but it's more like being fearless in how you move as a team. Howie Roseman from my Eagles is one of those guys that's got that approach. You know what I mean? He's aggressive. Don't get me wrong.
He
Our
didn't
team
have it this
is
year.
rebuilding, but he's always going to try and reach to get those guys. You're not going to have a team that's umming and ahhing like, let's just stay here where we're at. You want to go get a Calvin Ridley, just go do it. See what you could do if it makes your team better
You're
within reason. If you haven't
manifesting.
got a
You're
You
QB
really
there,
want
manifesting that
Calvin.
pick so
You saw
hard.
him
Like,
liking that post on Twitter or Instagram that somebody said, "Oh, it was beautiful. It would be beautiful to get these three back together. Devontae, Calvin, and Hertz."
whatever suits
And
the cause.
he liked the post.
Yeah, I mean it's whatever
well,
suits the cause. If you look at
he's
the
gonna like
Raiders
everything.
I know.
former GM back then, I think he was very aggressive, as far as getting talent there and trying to become a better team every year, not just through the acquisition of players, but more about, like I said, it's more the mental of not being scared to take risks.
No, but here's the thing though. So here's the risk with the Rams model, right? I mean, I'm a proponent of building teams a different way. For me, I like building through the draft. That's what I subscribe to.
Yeah, yeah,
Bear.
yeah.
Your GM's model, Chris Ballard's model, finding scouting and finding good rookies, developing them and building the team, and then supplementing them by acquiring.
Yeah, but the significant issue is supplementing through free agency, and they're like, we have not
Yes,
done that well.
that is the okay. So
But you've
that is the
shown the
Achilles heel
initiative.
of Chris Ballard. Like Ballard is a great GM in terms of drafting and finding players. His Achilles heel, I would say, is what you just said, Dylan. Dilly is like supplementing that talent that you have in the draft and getting some of these marquee players. I'm a proponent of your. For me, when you're building a team, if 70% of my core players are coming through the draft, I prefer it that way. And then I can find key players in key positions to supplement and then move forward. And it's one of those, if you do a research of a lot of the Super Bowl teams,
Mm-hmm.
it's what has been the greatest proponent for building a Super Bowl team.
All
Now,
right.
the Rams model of aggressiveness, it
Mm-hmm.
works, but like Dilly always says, you gotta pay the piper. The cap will come at some point
Yeah.
because all these players are not cheap.
Correct. Although OBJ is on a dirt cheap contract because they didn't trade
Yeah,
him.
but of the situation. But when you think about how they got the rest of the players onto the Rams, and right now going to offseason, they don't
Do you
really
know?
have cap space.
Well, they're 8 million under, 8 million over. So
Mm.
it's not really a bad situation. I don't think that's a bad situation in general.
Well, it's not,
Um,
but like, where you gonna find the money to pay? Okay, so if OBJ say the Rams win the Super Bowl, OBJ and Von Miller are not gonna take discounts.
do you
They
think
won't.
Whitworth would come back?
I think they'll
At this
look
point,
to.
I wouldn't bring him back. I'll just stick with No Bottom, who's proven to be more
Yeah, but
durable.
Whitworth, and guess how much they would save?
How much I saved it with don't come back.
True that.
15 and a half.
That's not enough to sign OBJ and Von.
Robert Woods, would you expect him to come back next year?
Well, absolutely. He's a key part of their
Yeah,
run
so
game.
he's a
And
key.
it would be
Then
real
what?
shitty to cut a play after he got injured.
Yeah, correct. So Bobby Trees, he'll be staying there. The really intriguing thing is, you look at their salary cap for next year, and I'm trying to understand where all of it's all in. It's all in 4 players, 5 players. Actually, it's in there. So you've got Aaron Donald, 26.75. You've got Dylan Ramsey, 23 million. You've got Matthew Stafford, 23 million. Leonard Floyd, 20 million. Cooper Cup, 18.675 million. Andrew Whitworth, 17.1. Bobby Trees, 15.7. Havenstein, the right tackle, 9.5. Sean Robinson is 9.5. Do you think somebody like him could be Peter, I can't hear you.
I mean, he could be a cap casualty. They're gonna have to move things
They would
around.
save 7 million, and they would save 7 million on that.
I just want to comment that my veins to get Carl's coffee.
Right.
but
Other keys to
don't
getting back
forget
to
so
if
let's
we
get back to
rewind
the
back
game.
towards the game. Special teams could be really important in this one as well.
That's true. Yeah, it will be a
And
factor.
the boot of Johnny Hacker
Mm,
in the punting
in
game,
punting
because
situations.
Yeah, no, field position could be important because I feel the 49ers
we'll try and grind the
work best.
game. Yeah,
They work best of like a slightly short field. You could say that's the same for like a lot of other teams, but for example, the Rams, if you give them a long field, they can make a chunk of that yardage back in big plays. You know, the 49ers do kind of need a short field. So yeah, field position could be play a huge role. What's your take on mistakes and errors, penalties? Do you think? I mean, of course,
Well,
Oh,
the
penalties will
49
affect the
so
game.
the 49ers so the 49ers secondary hasn't been giving up a lot of penalties in
Yeah.
the postseason. Now, what will be very interesting to see is whether they do that. Whether, like, instead of getting penalties, they've been getting picks.
But
Like, the
in the regular season, I saw a stat that they are the most
most penalised
flagged
secondary. Yeah.
secondary in the regular season, and
They
the
get too
refereeing
handsy.
crew for this game have called the most flags regular and postseason combined.
Beautiful.
But so the question is, do you let them
Something's got to
play,
give.
or
Something's
do you
well,
call the flags?
yeah, but the thing is, when it's egregious, it's egregious. You can't just be tackling, but you can't just be like tugging shirts and.
So that could play the advantage, and I think Cooper will get his catches. I mean, as much as the backs tried and the backs had a good defense, Cooper still got his catches, especially in those crucial moments.
And
So
other players in that offense will be key as well. Cam Akers is not going to fumble the ball. Do you expect Sonny Michel maybe to get more carries in this one than last time?
No, I think they work with what's stuck and what's shown in the past. They're going to lead with
Well,
Cam Akers, and
yeah,
they're
but
going to bring in
so
Sonny Michel.
yep.
no, but I think Sean McVay this game he needs to close better. Let Sonny Michel close out. Don't let what happened last game happen
Can't,
again.
because if that
You
tide,
can't.
if that tide turns, I don't think
Yeah.
they can.
Do
They've
it
already
twice in a
had
row.
that. They've already had that against the 49ers at home.
Yeah, I think that was more down to sort of witchcraft and sorcery. Cam Akers definitely is not a
Well, you're
fumble
putting it down to.
type of guy.
How'd you know he's not a fumble type of guy? He just fumbled 3 times in that game.
Yeah,
Twice.
but what's his history? You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have a history of fumbling. He's a clean player with that. So obviously something far fetched was
Clean
happening
player.
there.
He's a clean player.
Something far fetched was going on there. I think because
No, he's
Cam
talking about
is
Akers,
built-
not about Brady. We're not
No, I'm
talking
talking
about
about
Brady.
it.
I think Cam is built to be a closer because he's a downhill runner. He can be aggressive. Usually your speed back softens people up. But then when you have to close, it's your interior runners, your more physical guys, the guys with less wiggle, although Cam Akers has wiggle as well. But he's a guy that can really mess it up on the inside. Sonny Michel has always been like a speed perimeter back, and that goes back to his days in Georgia as well as a Georgia Bulldog. Like, he's always been known as that kind of back. So I think for a closer, I'd rather have Cam. But is Sonny Michel ready for the moment? I think he is, but they're going to lean on him a lot more now, if you know what I mean. Just to keep that defense honest.
Right, predictions time.
Rams.
I'll go with the Rams. I think they've got a better quarterback, and in this game, sometimes the quarterback play is absolutely needed.
I think the key,
and it's hard to
the
beat
key,
a team 3
Stafford's
times
not
in
going
the
to make
season.
errors. Stafford's got to have another game like last week where he's not the
Yep.
one that's making the errors.
Yeah.
He's saving it for the biggest stage. Don't worry.
I'm going to go with Rams.
Superb.
Going to say score-wise.
Stafford is saving it for the biggest stage. You all don't know. It's coming. Not this game, though. But he's saving it for the
32-28.
biggest stage.
The thing is, the one thing I'll say about Stafford is they get through this week. The other two defenses don't need to be. They're not anywhere. They're not as capable. I don't think.
I'd say they're
My
not as
opinion.
well-rounded as the 49ers. They have their areas where they're better than the 49ers, but as in a complete
I don't think
defense,
either of them are better in the pass rush perspective. So therefore, the pass rush
they're
is
not as well-rounded as the 49ers, who's
Yeah,
competent on
I
all
get
3
that.
levels.
I get that, but you need to. Well, their secondary is a questionable. 49ers secondary is a bit questionable.
Yeah,
so I
it
won't
is
say-
questionable, but it hasn't played questionable towards the end of the season
Yeah, I get
and in
that,
the
but
postseason.
But you know, you guys don't understand. Stafford always has his moments. Listen, he's
Well, you had
thrown
it
INTs.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the season, he had like 5 touchdowns and 6 INTs before the
This is the
postseason.
playoffs, Pete. It's
but
a different ball game.
you need to understand.
No,
Like
do you know what it is? He got it out of his system.
I'm talking about the
He got
type
those
of
plays out of his
QB,
system. So then
the type
he
of
knew he didn't
QB
have them anymore.
Stafford is. I'm just telling you when the
Yeah,
oh boy, yo, I'm just letting you know he'll play 2 clean games. He'll play 3 clean games, but eventually, the ball's gonna go the other way. It's gonna happen. I mean,
Are
I,
you
I, I mean,
basically calling him Carson Wentz? Come on.
I'm not calling him Carson Wentz, but what I'm saying is that he will give you 3 good games, and then he'll give you a game whereby the picks are raining when there's not even pressure on him, and you just make one of those wild throws and it gets picked off
Do you know what I would really? I would be so. Even though I want Bengals Rams to be the Super Bowl, it'd be really interesting to see Aaron Donald, Floyd, Miller go after Mahomes.
he's got a better offensive line. His offensive line is not injured like last year's postseason. Remember
It would
that.
be really interesting to see how
It
that
will
battle.
be. I mean, it will be because this year the Chiefs' offensive line has been solid. I mean, hold on, let me see. When they played the Bills, did they give up a lot of sacks? I don't think they did.
They gave up one.
See, they've been solid, and the key to Mahomes
Oh
here
no
has
no no
been
no
that
no 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 no! That was the that wasn't that was
the Pittsburgh game.
Titans to the they gave up one sack to the Bengals. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Chiefs. I'm looking at the Bills defense. How many sacks did they get against Mahomes? They sacked him just twice, which is not bad. Ed Oliver and Tyron Johnson.
Well, both teams got 2 sacks, so it was even.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that the Chiefs' offensive line is much, much improved. And this time they've been blessed not to have injuries. Because last year they had so many injuries on the offensive line.
But they haven't faced Donald.
I trust Creed Humphrey. That's all I'm saying. He's proven to be very good. To be an all-pro center in your rookie season, well, was he all-pro? I think
Was
he
he second
was.
team All Pro? He wasn't first team because Kelsey was first team, wasn't he?
Well, seniority, because I think Creed should have been first team. He's really played well this year. He didn't give up a single sack all year.
Right, so we've all gone Rams. We've all gone Chiefs as
Rams,
well.
Chiefs,
So
Super Bowl.
we are predicting Rams Chiefs Super Bowl here
Rams,
on the
Chiefs, Super Bowl.
Ballers. But I hope I'm wrong in one of those matchups. Just a little bit of hype. I don't have any hatred towards the Chiefs anyway. So well, that's it. We are only how many hours? 40 odd hours away from the next round starting.
AFC.
So well, we are now done, and we will be back on Tuesday to wrap up those 2 lovely matchups and more news in the NFL. Goodbye from me. Goodbye from Will.
Over and out.
That way.
Over and out.
And goodbye from Peter down below. So over and out, and we will see you guys next week.